Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya Yato Anvayaditaratascha Artheshu Abhigyaswarat Tene Brahmahridaya Adikavaye Muhyanti Yatsurayah Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Swena Sada Nirastakuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Nigamakalpataror Galitam Phalam Shukamukad Amrita Drava Sanyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. We enter the 51st chapter of the 10th Skandha of Bhagavatam. So we saw the story of how Jarasandha came to attack Mathura 17 times, and each time his army was decimated and he was spared. The 18th time he came, before that, Kalayavana, the Yavana, also came, and therefore Krishna set up the city of Dwarka, and by his Yogamaya transferred all the citizens from Mathura to Dwaraka, and then he came out of the city of Mathura unarmed, confronting Kalayavana. So now Shuka Brahma Rishi continues. He says, the Yavana, he sees Krishna coming out of the city gate of Mathura unarmed, and he is very surprised and also dazzled by the appearance. Krishna looks like the rising moon. He is looking most charming to look at. He is dark brown and he is wearing yellow silk, and he's got beautiful white curl of hair called Srivatsa, and he's got Kaustubha gem. He's got the garland of forest flowers and everything. It says Shyamam Pita Kausheya Vasasam Srivatsa Vakshasam. So all the features of Krishna with lotus-like eyes and lotus-like face. So looking at this, Kalayavana determines that this has to be Vasudeva, because as we may recall, Narada sent him here. So this Kalayavana had a special boon that he'll not be killed by anyone, and he was raring to fight the strongest enemy possible, and he was a very evil king otherwise, and therefore Narada knew how he has to be finished. So he suggested to him that you should go and engage with the Yadus and especially Krishna, and he described his features. So when Kalayavana sees Krishna, he recognizes that these are the features that Narada described to me, so he must be Vasudeva. He says, Vasudevo hi ayamiti puman Srivatsalachanaha Chaturbhujo Aravindaksho Vanamalya Ati Sundarah. He says this is exactly what Narada described, very beautiful looking, with lotus-like eyes, wearing a garland of forest flowers. So this must be Vasudeva. So as he recognizes Vasudeva, instantly Krishna starts running. And it's very surprising for this Yavana, because Krishna, who came out unarmed, and he started running, and this Yavana was very surprised. He decided that he has to fight Krishna, and he was raring for a good fight. So he also decided that he will go unarmed and have a direct encounter with Krishna. So he chases Krishna, but Krishna starts running and he is not able to catch him, and he is running and Yavana is running behind him. So this is a very mysterious and beautiful pastime of Krishna, for which he is also called as Ranachor. Normally, Krishna is described as Ranavir. Rana means battlefield. The one who is brave in a battlefield is called Ranavir, and the one who runs away from a battlefield is called Ranachor. And normally it is a disparaging remark, but Krishna's pastimes are so beautiful that just as he is butter thief, which is normally a disparaging remark, but it's a glorification of Krishna that he was stealing butter. Similarly, it's a glorification of Krishna that he runs away from this battlefield. And there is a mysterious reason for it, which we shall see. Because, as we saw, Yavana has a boon that he cannot be killed. So we will see how Krishna arranges for his death. So Krishna starts running, and this Yavana runs behind him, and Shuka Brahma Rishi says even great yogis cannot catch him with all their meditation. So how can this Yavana catch him? So this Yavana is running and Krishna is running ahead of him, but Krishna is teasing him by appearing like he will be within access. Yavana can catch hold of him, but he is just not able to grasp him, and so he is on his heels. And Krishna runs, and this Yavana is shouting, "It is not right for you to do this. I heard that you are a great warrior. Why are you running away from me?" And Krishna did not mind him insulting at all, because in this pastime, Krishna simply wants to get rid of him without directly attacking him to honor the boon he has got from Shiva. So he simply keeps running, and this Yavana runs behind him. And eventually, Krishna enters a mountain cave, which is very far south of Mathura, many miles away. And when he enters the mountain cave, Krishna enters the mountain cave, this Yavana also enters it. And it's a very deep cave. And so Krishna enters this mountain cave deep, and he goes well within into the mountain cave. And this Yavana also runs behind him. It's dark there inside the cave, and as he goes inside the dark cave, after a little while he finds a man lying down sleeping. So this Yavana thinks it is Krishna who is lying down there. Perhaps he has fallen down, or perhaps he is hiding there. So whatever his thought was, he thought, "Oh, here you are hiding like an innocent man." Saying thus, he kicks him. And when the stupid Yavana kicks this person lying down, the man lying down wakes up, slowly opens his eyes, looks all around, and finds this Yavana. And as soon as the eyes of this man lying down gazes upon Yavana, this Yavana is burned to ashes. Instantly he is killed by being burned to ashes. And when Parikshit hears this, he is amazed, as everyone who would hear it too. So Parikshit is asking, "What is this mystery? Krishna has entered this cave, he has vanished, there is some other man, and he has opened his eyes, and this Yavana got killed by being burned to ashes. Who is this man? Why is he sleeping in the cave? And where is he born from? Please tell me." So Shuka Brahmarishi says, that's the story that now Shuka Brahmarishi wants to give. He says, this man is born in the lineage of Ikshwaku. As we may recall, Ikshwaku is the lineage of Ram. In fact, Ram is famously known as Ikshwaku Vamsha Prabhavo, Ramo Nama Janashrutaha. So Ikshwaku is the lineage in which Ram was born. But well before Ram, there was a king called Mandhata, and this was described in the 9th Skandha. And this Mandhata had 3 sons, and one of them was Muchukunda. And this Muchukunda is a special son who was very devoted to protecting the sages and who was a man of his word, and therefore he went to protect the Devas. So it is said that the demigods headed by Indra, they were being attacked by demons, as we have seen repeatedly, and therefore the Devas sought the protection of this great dynasty, and so the king Mandhata gave his son Muchukunda. So Muchukunda was with the Devas and helping them by protecting them against the demons. This went on for a long time, and eventually Guha or Kartikeya appears, who is the son of Lord Shiva, and he takes over as the commander of the Deva. So that is why in Gita Krishna says, Senanina Maham Skandha, of all commanders I am Skandha, because he is the greatest commander. So when Kartikeya takes over as the commander, the Devas relieve Muchukunda. They say, "You are now free because we have a new commander who is the son of Shiva himself, and therefore now you can cease from this uphill task of protecting all of us." But then they also say, down on earth, all your enemies have been wiped out, but all your other enjoyments have also gone away, because this has been many, many centuries. So, as we saw already, time runs differently in different realms. So, on the earthly plane, many centuries have passed by. So, Indra and the Devas say, all your sons, wives, your relations, everyone you know, they've all passed away, and none of the people of your time survive anymore. They've all been swept away by time. So this is the mystery of time. So even if one wishes a long life, it turns out that when everybody one knows is gone, then there is no point in living. So he says here, the Devas rather tell the Muchukunda how mighty time is. They say time is mightier than the mighty. It is in fact the Almighty Lord Himself. And just as a herdsman sweeps away his herd, time sweeps away all beings like a sport. It says here, Kalo Baliyan Balinam Bhagavan Ishwaro Avyayah Praja Kalayate Kridan Pashupalo Yatha Pashun. So Kalo Balinam, mightiest of the mighty is time, which is Bhagavan Ishwaro Avyayah, which is the immortal Lord Himself. And that's why Krishna also says in the Gita, Kalosmi Aham. He says, time I am the destroyer of all. So, as time, Krishna, the Supreme Being, destroys everyone, everything. So that's why it says He is the mightiest of the mighty as time in the manifest world. And like a play, He kills or sweeps away everyone created. Therefore, they break to Him the news that you can go back to earth, but there is literally nobody you know there. Many centuries have passed by. Therefore, you can ask us any boon, we will be happy to give you, except liberation, which you will gain only by meeting the Supreme Being Himself, which will happen. So they tell him that you can ask any other boon. So Muchukunda respectfully bows down to the demigods and he says, I am very tired now. I have been fighting this battle for so long and I have nobody left. So I just want sleep till I get the darshan of the Lord. I don't need to see anyone in the world. I am tired of the world. So I'll just go to sleep somewhere and please give me a boon that I'll be in deep sleep without being disturbed until the Lord appears again. So they give him this boon. They, on top of that, they also give him the additional boon that not to worry in case anybody thoughtlessly wakes you up from your sleep, then that person will be instantly reduced to ashes. So you can go to sleep peacefully and be assured that nobody will disturb you, because if anybody disturbs you, he'll be destroyed instantly. So this is how the Yavana is destroyed. So thus we see how beautifully Krishna arranged by running away from the battle, drawing this Yavana into the cave, thus fulfilling the prophecy made by the Devas that he will open his eyes and immediately get the darshan of the Lord. But before that, he also becomes the instrument for killing this Yavana, and thereby the boon given by Shiva that this Yavana will not be killed in any battle is also protected. So Yavana is not killed in any battle. He is just killed because of the gaze of this man sleeping. So the Yavana is finished off. Boon to Shiva is protected. The prophecy of the Devas is fulfilled, and now Krishna is appearing in front of him as he was promised. So everything is beautifully arranged by Krishna, as we see in every pastime. Everyone is satisfied, and even the Yavana is liberated in this way because he died thinking of Krishna. So everyone is taken care in their own way. So now this Muchukunda, he beholds Krishna. After this Yavana has died, Krishna appears because he is still in the cave. So now Krishna is revealing him in the same divine form as Narayana. He is clad in yellow silk with cloud-like complexion, with Srivatsa mark on the breast, with Kaustubha gem, with 4 arms, with garland of forest flowers, with a beautiful, graceful face and smile. So very beautifully it describes here, Atmanam Darshayamasa Muchukundaya Dhimate. So he was, Bhagavan gave him the darshan, and how he gave darshan is Ghanashyamam Pita Kausheya Vasasam Srivatsavakshasam Brajat Kaustubhena Virajitam Chaturbhujam Rochamanam Vaijayantya Chamalaya Charuprasannavadanam Spurat Makara Kundalam. So all of these are beautiful descriptions of the Supreme Being, how his complexion is like a dark cloud, and he's wearing yellow silk. He's got 4 arms. He's got this beautiful garland. His face is having a most beautiful smile. He's got alligator-like rings or alligator-like earrings. So he's looking captivating like ever young, with a charming gait like a lion. So seeing all this, Muchukunda is very dazzled now. So Muchukunda says, who are you in this cave? So he's just woken up after a long slumber. So he's just getting used to seeing, but then instantly he's dazzled by this effulgence. So he says this effulgence is like the sun or like the deity of fire itself, but it's beyond that. Then he says, no, you ought to be the Supreme Lord himself who has appeared here. He says, Manye Tvam Deva Devanam Trayanam Purusharshabam. He says, you are the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan, who has appeared because you are dispelling the entire darkness of this cave and dispelling my darkness within too. You are as effulgent as the light of all the suns put together. So I'm eager to know about your avatar now. Please tell me about this avatar. For my part, I am a Kshatriya, that is a warrior, born in the dynasty of Ikshvaku. I'm the son of Mandhata. My name is Muchukunda. He says, Vayam tu Purusha Vyagra Ikshvaka Kshatra Bandhavaha Muchukunda iti prokto Yavanat Atmaja Prabho. He says, I am the son of Mandhata and my name is Muchukunda, and I have been sleeping here after protecting the Devatas for a long time and overpowered by sleepiness and not interested in being in the world anymore. I was sleeping in this lonely cave until now, and now because this Yavana disturbed me, he has been reduced to ashes as he is destined to go through, and now I am dazzled by your unbearable effulgence. So please tell me who you are, and rather tell me about this avatar of yours and give me your blessings. So looking at him, Bhagavan smiles and he speaks gracefully. It says, Evam sambhashito ragnya Bhagavan bhuta bhavanaha pratyaha prahasan vanya meghanada gabhiraya. So with the sound like the rumbling of a cloud, meghanada gabhiraya, with a smile on his face, Bhagavan, who is the knower of the past, present and future, he spoke very gently to this Muchukunda. So Krishna says, you are asking about this avatar. Of course, I have taken thousands of avatars. In fact, they are uncountable, they are infinite. Nobody can possibly count the number of avatars I have taken. So this is mentioned in the first Skandha itself, that asankheyani avatarani, the number of avatars are uncountable. So Krishna here also says, Janma karma abhidhanani santi me anga sahasrashaha na shakyante anusankhyatum anantavan mayapihi. So he says, even I cannot count because the number of avatars anantatvan, that means they are infinite, and therefore even I can't count the number of avatars. He says, in fact, that one can even count the particles of dust on earth, but one cannot count all the avatars that I have had. Even great sages cannot enumerate all the avatars I have had in past, present, and future. However, with this particular avatar, let me tell you that this is according to the prayer of Brahma, in order to remove the burden on earth and to protect the saintly. I appeared as the son of Vasudeva, and hence I am known as Vasudeva. He says, Vadanti Vasudeve iti Vasudeva Sutam Himam. So know me as Vasudeva, and I have already killed many demons such as Kamsa, Pralamba, and so many other demons, and now this Yavana has also been killed through this arrangement. So I have also come here because you have in the past been a devotee of me, and as it was promised to you, I have come here being dear to my devotees. He says, Soham tava anugrahartham guham etam upagatah prartitah prachuram purvam tvaya aham bhaktavatsala. So Bhaktavatsala, the one who is very dear to the devotees that I am, because you have always prayed to me and you have been promised of a vision of me, darshan of me. I have appeared in front of you. Now you ask me any boon you want. Krishna tells him, please ask any benediction because I'm in front of you. You are having this rare darshan. Ask me anything. He says, Varan Pranishwa Rajarshe Sarvan Kaman Dadamite Mam Prapanno Jana Kashin Na Bhuyo Arhati Shochitum. He says, the one who is devoted to me and one who beholds me ought not to go through any difficulty. So whatever you desire, I shall give you. So now perceiving him and recognizing that this is Narayana himself, Muchukunda offers a beautiful prayer. It says, Nyatva Narayanam Devam Gargyavakyam Anusmaran. So, recognizing that this is Narayana himself, Muchukunda offers a prayer and he says, people are normally deluded by your Maya, and because of that, they take themselves to be the body and do not worship you, but remain attached to their home, to their property, and they seek happiness in all these temporary things, but they never find it. He says, Vimohitoyam jana isha mayaya twadiyaya twamna bhajanti anarthadrik. So they are after pointless or valueless pursuits and they are looking for happiness in those, and therefore their search for happiness is frustrated. And therefore, those who have secured the rare birth of human and having a sound body and mind, if they don't take refuge in your lotus feet, they are as good as an animal. So Muchukunda, instead of asking for a boon, only glorifies the Lord and offers a beautiful prayer we see here. So he says, Labdhva jano durlabhamatra manusham padaravindam na bhajanti patito yatha pashuhu. He says, Labdhva jano durlabhamatra manusham. The rare human birth having attained, if they don't adore your lotus feet, then they are as good as an animal. And he then talks about himself. He says, this is the general condition of humans, and taking myself specifically, I also lived a life of vanity, thinking myself to be a great king. I had a great royal fortune, and I was attached to my children, my wives, and treasury, and all. And then I was drawn to this project or this venture of protecting the devas. So I was even more puffed up that I'm protecting the devas and I'm such a great warrior. So I took this body, which is actually as separate from one as any object out there, just as a jar or a wall. The body is an object, a material object, but I took this body to be myself and considered myself to be the ruler of men. And therefore, I was traversing with great pride with chariots and elephants and horses. And forgetting you, I became very proud. But then you always appear in the form of death, in the form of time for anyone who forgets you. And thereby, you, just as death comes at the right time and snatches away everything, you snatch away all attachments too at the right time to remind one of his true essential nature by taking away all that's impermanent. So, in this way, he says that people who are even great kings with wearing beautiful ornaments and calling themselves emperor and so on, they are eventually reduced to worms or to ashes. If they are buried, their body is reduced to worms, and if they are burned or cremated, their body is reduced to ashes. And therefore, I too, having conquered all the quarters and having established such great fortune and so on, being forgetful of you, was committing the same mistake of being caught in impermanent things. And he says, furthermore, that men are caught in these attachments, and even great kings, for example, become like puppets in front of, in the face of lust and greed and so on. And therefore, he says that one who is caught in these desires either wants to enjoy these desires here on the earthly plane, or they want to engage in penance for getting more such desires in the heavenly realm. So here he builds the case for why asking for any boon is ignorance, because any boon one can ask will always be impermanent, even if the boon is for earthly pleasures or for heavenly pleasures, even they are also impermanent. So he says that's utmost what men can ask for. Either they are so proud of their earthly attachments and their fortune, or they engage in penance to ask for great boons of heavenly realm, heavenly kingdom, and so on. But I recognize that the greatest fortune is to get the association of a true devotee who ends this attachment itself. He says, Bhava apavargo brahmato yada bhave janasya tarhi achyuta satsamagamaha Satsangamo yarhi tadeva sadgato paravaresha tvayi jayate matihi. He says, by your grace, when one gets into satsang, when one gets into true association of saintly people in satsang, only then the right way, sadgati, the right way of living is shown, which is to be free of all attachments. Until then, one is caught in attachments alone. Only when one is getting satsang, so he says satsang is the greatest blessing, and somehow I have gotten satsang somewhere, that's why I am getting your darshan. He says, Manye mama anugraha isha te krito rajan anubandha upagamo yadrichaya. So I am certainly already blessed with satsang somewhere because of two things. One, all my attachment has been taken away, my kingdom, my family, everything is gone, and I'm not attached to anything. And now, to top it off, I am actually having your darshan. I am seeing you face to face. Therefore, you have bestowed the greatest grace on me already. What more boon can I ask? So, this is how he concludes his prayer, building up beautifully by first describing the general condition of humans caught in desire and how asking for any pleasure out of desire, any boon out of desire, is only ignorant being of the nature of temporary, and then glorifying the highest benediction, which is grace, and saying, now that I have got your grace, what more can I ask? He says, Na kamaye anyam tava pada sevanad akinchana prartayat tamad varam vibho. So he says, the one who is the Lord of all beings, and especially of those who call nothing their own. Akinchana gocharam is an expression that's used in Bhagavata many times. That means the one, it can be seen in two ways. The one who is the Lord of those who have nothing to call their own, or the one who is the Lord of those who are not attached to anything. Even if one is a royal king, like Yudhishthira, when he is not attached to anything, not considers anything as mine, he is also Akinchana. The one who is destitute is also Akinchana. Either way, when one is not attached to the sense of mine and recognizes everything as belonging to God, then for such beings you are the Lord. And he says, you are there right in front of me now, giving your most blessed darshan. Therefore I do not covet any boon from you. What wise man would in fact ask any boon from you? He says, I have seen you who is pure beyond all attributes, beyond all dualities, of the nature of consciousness alone, and I surrender unto you. He beautifully concludes by saying, Niranjanam Nirgunam Advayam Param Tvam Nyapti Matram Purusham Vrajamyaham. He says, Niranjanam, the purest of all, Nirgunam Advayam, beyond all attributes and dualities, Nyapti Matram, of the nature of pure consciousness, Vrajamyaham. I surrender unto you, I surrender unto your lotus feet. After going through all the births and after going through all the various karmas and various actions, and with all the senses and the mind disturbing for all this time without peace, and finally I've got peace and reached your lotus feet. Therefore, please only bestow your grace and nothing else. So, hearing this beautiful prayer of Muchukunda, Krishna is very pleased. Krishna says, I am well aware that your mind is very pure and you will not ask for any boon. I simply offered you to ask boons only to demonstrate your great purity. He says, Sarvabhauma Maharaja Matiste Vimalo Arjita. So he says, your intellect is so pure and therefore you were very right in refusing to ask for any boon, even though you were given the option of asking for boon, and know that it was simply to demonstrate to the world the true nature of my devotees, that they don't ask for any boons. Those who are exclusively devoted to me are not distracted or tempted by any sensuous enjoyments, including even asking for liberation. So therefore, Krishna says, that's what you have demonstrated to the world. And he says, on the other hand, those who are not devotees, who are caught in various practices, including pranayama, breath control, and trying to acquire various siddhis, various powers, and so on, they are all distracted normally. They are tempted to get various mystic powers, to go to various realms, and so on. But my devotees are not. He says, Yunjananam abhaktanam pranayam adibhirmanah akshina vasanam rajan drishyate punaruthitam. He says, those who try to do pranayama and so on, their mind is agitated, and when given an option, they crave for enjoyment. But the one who is truly surrendered, so that is why this is emphasized by Krishna here. Abhaktana means one who is not surrendered. If he is simply engaging in pranayama, yoga, and all these practices, the mind is only dormant for some time and it comes up again with all its sensory pleasure movements. But the one who is surrendered, he has no such desire, including the desire for liberation. Therefore, he says, you now can roam about freely and you will be born again as a pure sage, and you will live as a pure sage and thereby spread the glory of devotion and then attain me. So, this is the great benediction that is given to this Muchukunda by Krishna. And with this episode of how Yavana was killed very beautifully, and Muchukunda is also bestowed the highest grace by Krishna, and thereby he has left Mathura and given this beautiful benediction to Muchukunda, and we saw the wonderful prayers of him as well. And with this chapter ends. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.